For my English project, I interviewed three of my family members: my grandfather, my dad, and my little sister Sarah. My goal in interviewing them was to see how reading and writing has either progressed or regressed over the different generations. I wanted to see how reading and writing impacted each of their lives and if the younger generation has lost touch of the value of reading and writing due to the overuse of the internet and social media. I was also interested to see how much of an impact reading and writing had on my dad's and grandfather's lives at my age and after, because I was not really informed before the interview on how much of an impact it really had on their lives. All right. So where did you grow up?
In Worcester, Mass.
Oh, nice. Okay. So growing up the way you did it affect your writing and reading throughout the years of school and after?
Yeah, I think it did. I actually think it was kind of a negative on it. It wasn't enough emphasis put on it when I was a kid.
Definitely. So did you have a lot of access to books growing up, or?
Well, I maybe access, but never did, never used.
All right. Yeah.
I never read my first book until I was in the Navy.
Okay. So there's no book as a kid that you remember being your favorite?
No.
You just didn't?
No.
Okay. So have you ever read a book that changed your life?
I don't know if I could say that it changed my life. I've read a lot of books, but I can't say that anything changed my life like that.
Yep. So going back to as a kid, nobody influenced you to try to read a book, or nobody really pushed you?
No, as I recall, no, there wasn't a lot of emphasis, and there wasn't that kind of push,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And looking back on it today, I wish the hell there was.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
Definitely. Going on to writing, what was your experience with writing during your childhood and high school?
I had a good imagination,
Yep.
and my imagination was good enough that I did very well with book reports and that kind of thing because I could make up a good story.
Yep, definitely. So, do you think that reading and writing plays a more important role during education, your career, or just your everyday life?
Well, I think it probably more so in your career if you adapt yourself early to it. It makes your life a little easier down the road because you've learned these things.
Yep.
You know, and that's the reading and writing part of it.
Yep.
Again, I didn't start reading until much later in my life and didn't enjoy reading as much as I do.
Definitely. Okay. So.
But I read not technical manuals, Andrew.
Yeah.
I read novels.
Definitely. Okay. Obviously now, but so just the last question: what is some advice you would give me in terms of reading and writing?
I just think for you yourself at your age, do it. I mean, as far as your reading, you have to keep up with the reading because if nothing else, it makes your vocabulary a little better. You know, you see new words, you start to use them,
Yep.
and you'd be surprised just how many things you pick up.
Yeah, definitely.
Even reading a simple novel, how many things you pick up just doing that.
Wow, definitely.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you. That's it.
That's it.
So what was your view on reading as a kid? Did you enjoy it, and did the teachers in school enforce it? And did your mom enforce it too?
So when I was a kid, books in our family were really important. We were a family of readers. So my grandparents, my mother, uncle, cousins, that was probably that generation. Also, where reading was something that everybody did a lot. And in my house, our apartment, there were books everywhere, and many of them were, the classics. My mother, as an example, was always reading. She read 2 newspapers every day. She did the crossword puzzles, and so I really grew up essentially being encouraged to be a reader probably more by example in my family. than my teachers. I think the teachers were important, but I think growing up in a family of readers was something that gave me my own interest in reading. And of course, I was an English major in college, so that, you know.
Yeah. So would you say that both reading and writing plays more of an important role and in your time through education or throughout your career after education?
Both.
Both?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, reading and writing or communications, being able to put your ideas, communicate your ideas on paper or, you know, in any kind of visual medium, or to be able to speak about to communicate your ideas verbally is, for me, you know, definitely something I do every day.
Mm-hmm.
I have a profession where that's my main focus is communication.
Yep.
And taking ideas and presenting them
Yep.
coherently to people. So
Cool. Well, that's it. Thank you. All right. Have you had a lot of access to books growing up, either at home or at school or in the library?
Well, for school, there's like 4 books you have to read each year, and then they make you read in the summer.
Yep.
So in school, yes.
Okay, so like, how about outside of school? Is there like do you go to the library?
Our library is not good, but they're building a new one.
Oh, nice. Okay. So, how has that affected the amount of time you spent reading? Like, do you spend a lot of time reading or not really that much?
The new library, or not a good library?
Just like school, like the amount of access to school, or the amount of access to books that you have, like at school, and you know, like how they make you read books. Does it make you read a lot?
Yeah, because
Okay.
it makes me interested in books.
Oh, so do you enjoy reading?
Yeah,
Why is that?
because schools show me how books can be interesting,
Mm-hmm.
even based on if the cover looks boring. They show that the books are actually good inside.
Mm-hmm. So basically, don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
All right. What is the longest amount of reading you have done without being told so? Like just a guess.
Well, when I read Harry Potter, probably like 5 hours because it was so hard to put down.
Nice. Okay. Who has been the biggest influence to read? Like who pushes you to read the most? Your teachers, mom?
Probably teachers.
Teachers, yeah. What kind of social media do you use, and how does it affect your reading and writing?
I use Instagram and Snapchat, and does not have a good impact.
Yeah. So like now talking more about writing, do you enjoy writing?
Yeah,
Why is that?
because I enjoy writing like news stories because it's like kind of like, I don't know, it's just fun. And when you write narratives, it's kind of imaginative.
Yeah, so do you feel like you have a lot of opportunities to write and that you take advantage of those opportunities?
Yeah, I read a lot in school.
Yeah. So what do you want to be when you're older?
Engineer?
An engineer? So do you think reading and writing plays an important role in this?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Well, like, so you think it's important?
Well, yeah, because you gotta like write out plans for like stuff and know how to read certain
Yeah.
things and like formulas.
Yeah, very true. All right. Well, that's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
After interviewing my dad, my grandpa, and my little sister, I really learned a lot of how they feel about reading and writing and how it's affected all of their lives so far. Starting with my grandpa, he talked about how he didn't really like to read as a kid, and he actually didn't read at all as a kid. He was talking about how there was nobody really forcing him to read, and that was including his teachers, which really surprised me because teachers nowadays really almost force you to pick up a book and read. But another thing that surprised me about it was how he said he actually liked to write, even though he didn't read that much. He said it was due to his good imagination, which I think kind of runs in the family because my dad also said he had a good imagination along with my little sister, saying that she liked to write imaginative stories. But it was interesting to see how my grandpa said that once he joined the Navy that he's really started to like reading books. I think that was mostly because he did not go to college after high school and he liked to continue to learn. And he was saying how reading books helped him keep his brain active and he kept on learning new words. And he said to me how reading was very important in life in general because it helps you to continue to learn new words and just learn new things in general. Um, so reading was really a good way for him in general just to learn not being in school because he was out in the Navy. Um, and I really thought his advice at the end was really good, just encouraging me to keep reading and writing. After interviewing my dad, I also really learned a lot about his childhood and how he grew up and how reading affected it. He said that reading was a huge part in his family and that all his families were big readers. Everybody in his family were big readers. He said that mostly his mom was the one making him read and not really his teachers as much, which is kind of a reoccurring theme with what my grandfather was saying also. But he did mention that the teachers did have a small influence on him reading. He also said that his mom was a big reader and that she liked to read newspapers and that she was really the one pushing him and encouraging him to read. At the time, when my dad was growing up, there obviously wasn't that much technology. So he said that was really the main reason why he was reading, because there wasn't really much else to do at the time besides go play outside or read a book. Um, with my dad, he was an English major, and his job involves a lot of communication. So it was interesting to hear him mention how important reading and writing was to him, and like how it was important to his job. Um, so really, he mentioned at the end that reading and writing is a key part of both your career and education, which was very important to me because I'm in the middle of my education and I'll have to keep up with my reading past education into my career. My last interview was my little sister, and that was kind of the more forced interview it seemed like, and she was kind of just saying what she was really like what the right answer was supposed to be. In my opinion, she was saying that she likes to read and write, which I do believe, but she was also talking about how the reason why she likes to read and write and the reason why she knows what good books are because of her teachers. And I actually felt very opposite of that when I was in school, especially middle school and high school. But for the most change that I noticed between my grandpa and my dad and my little sister is that she was the one who said that